One player suspended by his own team in the Olympics. The USA Women's are going for gold, and the knockout stage in Milan gets underway today. In fact, it already is underway today by the time this video is airing. What's up, Florida Panthers Daily? I am AJ Sheridan, back with you here on Tuesday, February 17th. Make sure you follow me on all social medias at AJ Sheridan Radio, as I'm keeping you up to date throughout the Olympics and on any news surrounding the Florida Panthers. And of course, hit that subscribe button below, because we are going every single day right here, part of the Fan Arch community, Monday through Friday. Team USA and Team Canada, the two headliners in this tournament, will not be underway today, but they are awaiting their opponents, and we'll find out who their opponents are today as the action is already underway from Milan. I got to say, before we jump to the hockey, here recently I've actually started tuning in a little bit to these primetime at the Olympics, and the Olympics are pretty fun. I wasn't giving it a lot of hype, especially the Winter Olympics, being from Florida, kind of more of a Summer Olympic guy, but these Winter Olympics have been pretty fun. There's been a few events that I'm watching and I go, whoa, why wasn't I paying attention to this more beforehand? Or how did I not know about this till just now? But we are here to talk hockey, as we do every single day on Florida Panthers Daily, part of the Fan Arch community. Again, the subscribe button below does us a lot of good. It allows us to do it every single day, and following on social media at AJ Sheridan Radio. Let's jump into it now. I mentioned a player suspended by his own team. That's 6'4", 220-pound defenseman Pierre Crinan was suspended by his own team at France. Of course, he was in the fight against Canada. We mentioned we didn't expect to see a lot of fights in these Olympics. It was the only one so far. Team France, or the France committee, is saying it's not because of the fight is the reason that they suspended him. It is because of the way he chirped Team Canada's fans after the game. They did not like it. And of course, all teams that went to Milan did advance to the knockout stage or auto to the quarterfinals. So even though after that game they didn't have the best group stage, they were moving on no matter what. They were taking on Germany today. The winners will take on Slovakia. But I think it's funny that we talked about how this is so much different than the Four Nations. No fighting allowed. One player gets in a fight and his own federation suspends him. Not something you expected to see. And then Switzerland and Italy is also going on today. The winner of that will play Finland. Let's keep an eye on that one when we get on to our best bet of the day later today. Switzerland and Italy. And of course, Finland has a lot of Panthers on it. The winner of that game will take on Team Finland. Canada will get the winner of the Czech and Denmark happening today. So a lot of teams, the four top seeds, all waiting to see who the matchup will be. I think it's important that Finland did get the 4 seed. Keep an eye out. We'll preview it as we get closer. Finland playing Canada in that semifinals match. Finland's going to come out with some fire. I think that opening round loss really woke them up. They still found a way to get the bye to the quarterfinals. So we're not going to preview it just yet because they still have games to win. But when Finland meets Canada in that semifinal match, a lot of Panthers will be on the ice in that one. And I think that could be a tricky one. Obviously, the Canadians will be woken up for it. Sweden and Latvia, the winner is who the Americans will play. 3 sets of NHL teammates facing off in this game. Of course, Panthers, Gustav Forsling for Sweden, and then Vilmanis and Belinkis for Latvia. And then the Penguins and the Lightning are the other 2 teams with a pair of teammates facing each other in the knockout round. I can't wait for the knockout round to get going. I can't wait to see who Team USA will be taking on in the quarterfinals. And of course, we mentioned it, it's the 1 seed and the 2 seed. If that's the gold medal match, it will be USA and Canada, and that will be a lot of fun over in Milan. But one Team USA team on the ice, well, I guess at the Olympics there are a lot of Americans on the ice, but in a team format in the sport of hockey, Team USA Women's will be facing off with Canada in the gold medal match. We know that is the matchup. Canada taking down Switzerland yesterday. That final score, 2-1. So I was like, oh, that was a pretty close game. I was at work, didn't get to watch it. They outshot Switzerland by almost 40. I believe it was 46-8. And Canada only won by 1 goal. Of course, these teams already played earlier on in these Olympics. USA taking down Team Canada 5-0 in the group stage. So far, the Team USA 6-0 through the tournament to reach this part in the gold medal game, led by Hillary Knight, just the team captain. She has tied or broke almost, it seems like, every U.S. women's hockey scoring record for points or goals. But it's interesting. This Team Canada team, you saw yesterday, yesterday, puts up a high volume of shots, but the offense necessarily hasn't been there for Team Canada. And when you look at this women's team, USA team, it's been the defense that has been getting there, especially goaltending Erin Frankel. She's been the goaltender and has been sharp in between the pipes. I believe it is, let me make sure I have this number here, 331 minutes. They have not given up a goal in these Olympics. They've scored 31 times, the Americans have, and only given up 1 goal. So, I mean, you got to be pretty confident if you are a Team USA fan, if you are a women's hockey fan going into this one. Of course, no Panthers to talk about here because this is women's. But having already beat Team Canada 5-0, you know Team Canada will come out hungry and be ready to go, that they are playing for a gold medal match. That game will be Thursday at 1 p.m., the gold medal match between Team USA Women's and Team Canada Women's. I mean, the more you look at it, the more lopsided it seems to be just at the stats Team USA is putting up compared to Team Canada. Another name to keep an eye on is Caroline Harvey. She's kind of a she's the captain of the defense, but she likes to also push the offense. I'm trying to think of a different sport of analogy I can pair it over, but she loves to jumpstart those attacks for Team USA. I think early you're going to see her get create a chance for Team USA to jump on the board and hopefully carry the momentum to a gold medal for the American females. Let's shift our focus now away from the Olympics for a little bit and back to the NHL, where, of course, there is a trade freeze going on still right now. That will end on February 22nd, ahead of the March 6th trade deadline. A lot of rumors going on, of course, around the Olympic breaks. You know, a lot of fans, that's what they do. If their team's in position for the playoffs, they want to talk about how they can be buyers. And if, well, you're a Florida Panthers fan, you're in a weird spot, maybe not necessarily looking into the playoffs as closely as you expected to be at this point in the season. And it seems like the Panthers will maybe be sellers approaching this March 6th trade deadline rather than buyers. It wouldn't surprise me, a name to keep an eye on, and this one hurts to say. Obviously, I'm AJ Sheridan, part of the Fan Arch community here on Florida Panthers Daily. Make sure you hit subscribe down below, and that's why this one hurts. AJ Greer. I think that's a name. You look at his role on this Panthers team. He brings the physicality. He brings the energy, and I've mentioned multiple times since I've started hosting Florida Panthers Daily that those third and fourth lines that he's been a part of have been bringing the energy for the Panthers night in and night out when it seems like there's a different guy missing from the lineup every single night. And AJ Greer has been phenomenal at doing so. But if you think about it, he is a pending unrestricted free agent, which I think would attract a lot of teams, knowing they can get him for a little cheaper, use him as a one-year rental. I think he's a guy who has the winning experience, being part of the Florida Panthers culture. If he can go and change that in a different locker room, I believe AJ Greer, maybe Joe Negatovich. We will talk about him later on Florida Panthers Daily, a different day. Today's name I want to focus is AJ Greer. I think don't be surprised when the Panthers get close to that deadline if he is a name you start to hear that a team near the top of the standings wants to try and get onto their team. And then an Atlantic Division foe, the Boston Bruins, I think reports are all saying they are looking for a defenseman to kind of really solidify for their playoff push. We saw the Panthers do this last year when they went out and got Seth Jones, and then they added the score in Brad Marchand from the Boston Bruins. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Bruins go out and get a defenseman, and I don't think that would be the only move they make. I think they are kind of in a little bit of a win-now mode. Obviously, they rebuilt after the Panthers ruined their franchise, as a lot of fans like to say. But I think the names to keep an eye on there for the Boston Bruins are Justin Falk, Braden Schneider, and Zach Whitecloud. Kind of three names that have been in the mix a lot for the Boston Bruins as they look, again, to find another defenseman as they look to push for the playoffs. They do hold the final wild card spot right now. The Panthers are looking up at our Atlantic Division foe, the Boston Bruins. And then one last name to kind of keep an eye on. This one's in the Western Conference, so maybe not as familiar with a lot of fans, but that is Blake Coleman for the Flames. I think a lot of teams that are trying to boost their offense, his name's been floating out there here over the Olympic break, and I think teams in the Eastern Conference, he hasn't scored a lot this year as much as maybe you'd think, but I think a fresh start can be what Coleman needs. Let's move on now to the best bet section, and honestly, we've been doing pretty good here on Florida Panthers Daily. This one, it's going to be games that we talked about earlier today. It's going to be USA Women's Moneyline. Give it to me in a parlay with Switzerland men's money line. Of course, they are taking on Italy. USA taking down Canada, I believe, for the gold medal, and then Switzerland over Italy is my best bet of the day. We've made it to the knockout stage of the 2026 Winter Olympics. NHL players return to the Winter Olympics, and it'll be a lot of fun as Team USA continues to push for gold. Until tomorrow, the matchups will be set so we know who USA is taking on. We will break it all down and a whole lot more on Florida Panthers Daily. Hit that subscribe button below, socials at AJ Sheridan Radio, and until tomorrow, let's go Cats.